For centuries, two names have echoed through prophecy, just shrouded in mystery and a little bit of dread: Gog and Magog. But today, we're diving into a source that offers a pretty radical new interpretation. One that says these ancient names aren't prophecy at all, but a code.
What if, instead of being some future enemy from a faraway land, these names are actually a cipher, a code, that, according to this theory, points directly to one of the most powerful nations in modern history, right from its very beginning?
So before we can even start to crack this code, we first need to get our heads around the traditional view, the very one this theory is trying to flip on its head.
Yeah, traditionally, Gog and Magog are seen as a future leader and their nation, some external force that's going to show up at the end of days. The key word there is future. It's all about something that hasn't happened yet.
But, the source that we're looking at today starts by questioning that very tradition. It uses this verse to ask a pretty pointed question. Could our long-held beliefs actually be hiding a truth that isn't about the future, but is really about the here and now?
And that question brings us right to the heart of this whole theory. An interpretation that treats these ancient names like a mathematical puzzle that's just been waiting for someone to solve it.
The system itself is actually pretty simple. It's a basic alphanumeric key where A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, and so on. The only real twist is that if you get a double-digit number, you just add the two digits together to get a single number. So, for example, O is the 15th letter, so you take 1 plus 5 and it becomes 6. Let's see how the source puts this to work.
First up, let's take a look at Gog. G is the 7th letter of the alphabet. That's easy. O, like we just said, is the 15th, so you do 1 plus 5 and you get 6. Then we have G again, another 7. Pretty straightforward, right? And that gives us a 3-digit sequence. The result for Gog is 767. Now, according to this theory, this is not just some random number. Oh no, this is the first key to unlocking the whole thing.
Okay, next. The source does the exact same thing to the first part of Magog, which is Ma. M is the 13th letter, so 1 plus 3 is 4. And A is just 1.
And that gives us the number 41. So now we've got our two main pieces, 767 for Gog and 41 for Mag.
Now, this is where the source makes a really important structural claim. It argues that the full name should actually be read as Gog-Magog, which creates this perfectly symmetrical, mirrored cipher, 767, 41, 767. And the source sees this pattern as being prophetically significant.
So, we have a code, but what does it mean? This is where the theory makes its most explosive claim: a direct link to a very specific date in modern history.
The source asks us to look at that sequence, 76741, not as 5 separate digits, but as 3 distinct chunks of information.
And here it is. This is the linchpin of the entire theory. The source interprets the numbers like this. The first 7 and 6 become the year 76. The next 7 becomes July, the 7th month, and the 4 and 1 are read as the 4th day. You put it all together, and the source claims the cipher reads July 4th, 1776, the birthday of the United States.
From this point on, the theory just expands, arguing that this date isn't some wild coincidence, but actually the key to a whole blueprint that's hidden inside these numbers.
The source keeps pulling connections from that original Gog number, 767. It points out that if you just add the first two digits, 7 plus 6, you get 13, which it immediately links to the 13 original American colonies.
The theory also starts reinterpreting other prophecies through this new American lens. For example, you know the 7 hills from the Book of Revelation? Traditionally, everyone thinks that's Rome. But this source reinterprets it as the 7 continents, symbolizing the global reach of the United States.
And the source just keeps finding more patterns that line up with key dates. It highlights 1767, the year the Townshend Acts really kicked off colonial resistance, saying it's echoed in the cipher. It then argues that even the 21-year gap until the Constitution's ratification in 1788 is all part of this pre-coded timeline.
Okay, this brings us to the final, and let's be honest, the most provocative calculation in the source material, one that doesn't point to the past, but points directly to our time.
In this final step, the source does another kind of calculation. It just sums the digits of the names. So for Gog, you've got 7 plus 6 plus 7, which equals 20. For Magog, it takes Ma, that's 4 plus 1, and then adds the digits from Gog again,
for a grand total of 25. You put those two results together, and the source arrives at the year 2025.
Now, the source connects this year to very specific modern political events. It says, and I'm quoting directly here, "In 2025, a golden age of America was declared by Donald J. Trump, hailed by many as the national savior."
And it continues by tying these events to prophetic language. Again, quote, "In the 2024 election, he suffered a seemingly fatal political blow, a wound that mirrored the language of Revelation 13:3, yet miraculously healed."
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, it's the source's ultimate conclusion. It's not about some external enemy coming to attack. It's proposing an internal story. The prophecy of a nation that was born with the voice of a lamb, liberty and freedom, that would one day grow to speak with the power of a dragon, a republic transforming into a global empire.
And that leaves us with the final haunting question that this theory poses. It reframes the entire prophecy not as a warning of what's to come, but as a mirror for what already is. It asks all of us to consider, are we just waiting around for Gog and Magog, or have we been living inside of it this whole time?